Good evening, everyone. So yeah, I'm here to talk about our city being an open canvas as far as what do we see whenever we look out into our community. Um, when I started my visual experience that I started solely as one person in this city, probably 2, 3 years ago, I decided that, in my community, what is it that I want to see visually and creatively? There was things that were not working for me in my community as a visual and creative person. And so I said, I want to set about and change that. I don't want to complain about it. I don't want to besmirch the city and speak negatively. I just want to go about changing these things, not only for me, but for my community, and more so to the kids that operate in our communities that don't have the resources to go about having creative experiences because of the economic station that they currently occupy within their family structure. And so with that, I started with the first mural project, which was in collaboration with the city. And that was the parking deck structure on Belmead and North Elm Street. That was a labor of love that actually took probably 2 years to complete. As we all know, anytime you deal with the city, it's never something that happens within the snap of a finger. But it also taught me, the structure of how things are accomplished in this city. And through that process now we have moved on to multiple other projects that have been in collaboration with the city. One of those being the water resources plant. That was a project of mine where we collaborated with another artist, and it was basically an artist exhibition of that artist's work that was uniquely qualified for that project, and that his visual elements that contain water worked perfectly for that water education project that we did. We've also done some great projects with AZ Properties and the area that is located in the South End. Those were a lot of my projects that I collaborated with Mr. Zimmerman. And it takes, a community to do these types of projects. The scale of these types of projects are such that, they're cost prohibitive to major portions of the city. So it takes multiple facets of a project to create these visual elements that really become a canvas unto its own. And, they can be done with any approach. What we ultimately want is for these projects to be a catalyst for you to go into your community and propose the same projects, whether it's on a smaller scale or a much larger scale. Whenever we get the feedback from these types of projects, overwhelmingly the majority of it is positive. In the very unique circumstances where you don't get positive feedback, it is because that person has a very unique perspective of what they would want to see done in their community. And in those situations, the only thing that works is for them to do their own project so that they create the unique vision that they have for their community as well. And, what I say to those situations when they occur is that those are educational moments. We create situations where if you're not happy with the project that is done in your community, you can also go out and do your own project in your community. And then our community as a whole is that much richer. Again, we have such rich, unique historical perspectives in this city, stories that other generations that are now moving into positions of being community leaders. The stories are just a millionfold that can be told. And I'm just of one person that is telling one story. My background is in visual arts. I have a degree from Guilford Tech in advertising as well as fine arts. I'm continuing my education in the UNCG's fine arts program. But before that, my education was strictly street art based, in that this art was proficient in the culture that I grew up in, and it allowed me a conduit to create a vision that has been able to be affected in a community that 5 years ago you wouldn't have thought you would see stuff like this. All over the world, there is a creative renaissance going on, and we as a community need to be engaged in that, because that is how we creatively speak to the students in our community, the citizens in our community. Where the students may be temporary citizens, our citizens are permanent residents here, and everyone needs to be engaged in the conversation that is going on, because it's going on in multiple communities. And if we're not speaking to the children that are in our community, other people from other communities will. And that's what will take the children that are future leaders in this current community and allow them to go to other communities, and that's what we don't want. So when we speak to the canvas being an open slate, it can be defined by so many things. We have so many rich artists in our community, whether it's music, so many things that can be done creatively, that, you know, it's a thing where we are, again, in a cultural renaissance, where the things that we are witnessing right now, we need to be grateful for being allowed to be a part and participating in that, because we have talented people in our community that are doing very unique and fabulous jobs. Again, whether it's music-wise, whether it's visual arts, whatever your creative spectrum is that you relate to, there's something for you to do in this community. And there are people that are opening doors, including myself and others, that is making it that much easier for people that haven't started their creative journey. When they do start it, hopefully in our community, the process will be that much easier. Again, you know, when we look back 2 years ago, 5 years ago, we would never have thought that we could be in this place where now art almost leads the forefront of what engages this community right now, to where we have a participatory budgeting process. Art is being voted to be done in that democratic process. There's so many things that, you know, arts is speaking to, that, again, you know, it's a great place to be and a great time in history. And the question is how will you be involved in that conversation? Even this event tonight, you know, we have a great turnout, a beautiful turnout. We must applaud the people who put this event together. This is, yes, definitely. We must applaud that, because, again, 2 years ago, we may not have had this type of turnout. And so, again, we want people to go and to create this dialogue in your own unique community settings, whether it's 5 people over coffee, or whether it's 100 people in a room that is doing art projects, one and the same. Again, these are the things that we want to see in our community, because when we start off with the arts, everything else is a positive beyond that. So again, you know, with that being said, when you see these people in your community, take the time to applaud the efforts that they do, because a lot of times, you know, people think that artists aren't supposed to get paid. And that is something that through these types of events, we will see the stock that these types of people carry in the community, because they do things that is not necessarily about a paycheck, but it's more so about the betterment of the community. And if we can, you know, engage one child, just one child in the community that goes on to do great things in the creative circle, then that is the most beautiful payment that you could ever receive, because that child will go on to do great things, and he had that start in our community. Thank you very much.